Girl, unless you have to stay up all night editing to get her a Precure review, what am I doing in my life? You really should lay off the morning coffee. We opened the second episode of our new series with Nodoka giving the standard begging the parents to take in a stray animal speech, knowing full well that they were going to end up taking care of it most of the time. Regardless, they agreed to let her keep Latte, at least temporarily. We then cut over to, King Selfishness? Well, actually, this is King Byogen, and yeah, just by that name, you can tell this is going to be your fairly standard evil overlord for this franchise. But as always, at least the generals were fun, including the Ox King and... Jeez, Momoka developed some unique taste in her men after Hardcatch. Also, I'll say this right now, I doubt Shindoinen here is going to become our 6th ranger of the season because, well, aesthetic reasons. Anyway, according to her, the king had previously been cornered by the Precure, hence the no body thing. Thus, one of their missions was to restore it, and the other we would learn in just a minute. Back with our protagonists, they introduced some of the features of their product placement, showed Nodoka how to feed Latte, yeah. It's all very plot relevant, and it's not as though the animals are doing a full-on plug while looking straight at the camera with them, and okay, who am I even kidding? If you guys don't want me to be so cynical, then stop being so blatant. Anyway, toy pitch meetings aside, the healing animals also took the time to give us some brief world-building exposition, pretty much confirming what we already knew. They came from a peaceful world with an odd blend of realistic and fairy-esque critters, and that their mortal enemies were the denizens of the Byogen Kingdom, who essentially wanted to terraform the Earth into an environment more suitable for them and their king. And I like that they gave the villains actual motives. I mean, it doesn't make them sympathetic in any way, but at least these are conquerors with actual plans. The next day, Nodoka headed out for her first day of school and thankfully left Latte at home after we had to put up a certain spotlight stealing fluffball last season. Also, I'll say this right now, while the animation this week was a bit of a downgrade from the last, these nice cherry blossom effects they used throughout the episode kinda make up for it. Anyway, Nodoka naturally ended up transferring into the class with her future teammates because, again, this is kind of a back to the basics sort of season, though I will give points to this teacher.
No, stop. Think of the children.
And while we unfortunately didn't get a lot of Hinata this week, Nodoka did end up spending time with Shiu trying to find a sports club she could join. Raplin was excited to see what her partner could do, only to end up with a montage of failures as she tried multiple sports, including pole vaulting, tennis, and kendo? Oh, believe me, it's not the weight of these things that's gonna kill ya, it's the smell. Of course, she wasn't physically able to join any of the clubs, though at least the captains were good sports about it. Raplin, on the other hand, didn't take it so well, and as the title of the episode suggested, wanted to break things off with Nodoka after learning she had next to no natural stamina. And I'll admit, I was originally going to criticize Raplin's outburst, but this one line right here saved it for me. Well, I don't think I'm going to be needing this throughout the season. Yes, unlike certain other seasons, right off the bat, they're acknowledging that fighting supernatural beings from a lava-filled world is kind of dangerous. Raplin didn't want to send the girl she only just met onto the battlefield if her chances of survival were already lower than average. Especially since, well, she believes she would be incapable of protecting Nodoka because of her own inexperience. Raplin didn't view Nodoka as the unworthy partner, but rather herself. So, within this one scene, they've not only developed Raplin's character more so than many fairy partners over the course of entire seasons, but they've also effectively built up the dangers that are associated with being a Precure. Good job, guys. Really good job. In the middle of all of this, Nodoka also had a good exchange with Shiu, who was able to figure out that her new classmate hadn't actually played any sports. For Nodoka, she had always only seen others play and always wanted to join in. Chiu gave her some practical advice, saying that she needed to first build up her stamina before anything else, and possibly set up some future interactions between these two. Nice stuff and everything, though in the present, there was the issue of a certain pre-boy villain who apparently already has a strong following. Wonder why. With an evil dead tree running amok, Latte came down with her weekly ailment. God, the show is gonna be rough on this little pup. Nodoka discovered it was coming from the school and made her way there to some really good stinger music. Seriously, this season has some good tunes. Without rambling around, Nodoka did something pretty smart and tested to see if she could transform with Nyatoran. Obviously, it didn't work because this isn't Tokyuser, but still, points for thinking outside the box. Unable to transform into a Precure, Nodoka tried a different kind of transformation. If somebody doesn't make a legit cosplay out of that, then I will be thoroughly disappointed with this community. Still, Cure Sports put up a decent effort by trying to catch the Mega Byogen in a fairly well-placed trap. It did work, and Nodoka's stamina finally gave out. Like, seriously, for a little girl, she went on a bit of a physical marathon setting up that trap so fast and everything. No, well, at least the preceding scene kinda made up for it, as Nodoka explained to Rablin her reasoning for wanting to become a Precure in the first place. As many of us had figured, it was her attempt at returning the favor to the comforting world that had seen her through a terminal illness she suffered at a young age. Yet, while we all saw this coming, Aoyuki's performance really sold the scene. And of course, she wasn't going to do it alone, as she begged her fairy partner to once again lend her the power to fight. Rablin apologized for not listening to Nodoka's side, as the two recognized they were in this battle together. And you know, there's a reason these two say the two overlapping flowers together. With only a few minutes left in the episode, the preceding fight was admittedly short, just a rider kick and a shield bash, but it doesn't really bother me since I personally kind of count the untransformed Nodoka as a part of the fight too. With that, they rescued the tree elemental, and since Latte wasn't sick for too long like she was last week, they didn't have to perform the extra steps they did in the last episode. With that, we ended with Nodoka and the fairies calling it a day, but a nearby blue waifu saw her talking to the floating plushies. Even with a noticeable drop in animation quality, this second episode in some ways surpassed the first, with some good comedy, a little world building, but most of all, some great development from our main character duo. Judging just by these first two episodes, it seems like this series is going to place a heavier focus on the relationship between the Precure and their respective healing animal, to the point that you could make a comparison with Kamen Rider Double with two people making one superhero. And considering how well that formula worked there, they might be onto something here. Rablin has already become one of the most fleshed out fairy partners in the franchise, showing a very hot-headed side that drives her to make brash decisions and calls, but also a caring side that doesn't want to see a girl she only just met get hurt or worse. This week, those two sides ended up coinciding with each other, leading to a near breakup. This forced Nodoka to reflect on her own limitations. Having felt what it's like to have a healthy, fully working body as Cure Grace, she likely tried to spend the first part of this episode trying to re-experience that feeling, before accepting the fact that she still needed to work on her own normal stamina. Together, these two will need to learn how to cover each other's weaknesses, which I'm kind of looking forward to seeing more of. Minor cons I have include, as I said, a dip in the animation quality. I mean, it's not the worst, but man, do the healing animals look awkward in a lot of these shots. It kind of covers it up with some nice effects, but it's still there, jeez. Still, I won't dock points from this one for having a short fight, as Cure Sport did put up a good showing beforehand. Combine that with a touching bond she's made with Rablin, and I'm looking forward to seeing if Chiu and her pre-partner can follow suit. If you haven't seen it yet, then I totally wouldn't blame you because it turned out pretty lengthy. I just posted my overview of Star Twinkle Precure. I'm sure everyone's gonna have their own opinion on the show, but I just wanted to get my thoughts out there, and boy did I have a lot. And with that done, I can get back to my full series reviews, so look forward to that. And until then though, farewell for now my friends, and I better get this thing checked out for mold.